All right, good morning. I'm Pinellas County Sheriff Bob Gualtieri, on behalf of Florida Sheriff's Association President David Shore and the 67 Sheriffs of Florida, here this morning to announce the results of Operation Safe Steps, which is a statewide pedestrian education and enforcement initiative. Just very briefly, the Florida Sheriff's Association, through its task force, does operations twice a year that we hope will have an impact on increasing public safety across Florida. We try and conduct these operations in a way that all 67 sheriffs and sheriff's offices can participate to, again, better affect public safety around the state. The past initiatives have focused on arresting people on violent warrants, springtime alcohol consumption, illegal alcohol consumption, traffic enforcement, drug enforcement, and a variety of things. So this is the fall operation for the Florida Sheriff's Task Force, again, affecting a problem across the state. As we decided on this operation, it was because of many recent reports and our own observations that Florida has become one of the most dangerous states in the United States for pedestrians walking on and crossing our streets and roadways. Statistics show that the majority of pedestrian crashes occur during traditional rush hour, and the majority occur outside of designated crosswalks, which is especially tragic because many of these crashes can be avoided by following the rules of the road. Between 2011 and 2013, there was a 19% increase in pedestrian crashes here in the state of Florida, with approximately 7,600 crashes in 2011 and 9,300 crashes in 2013. Pedestrian crashes are trending up again for 2014. So during that period of time of 2011 to 2013, there was a 20% increase in the number of pedestrians involved in those 7,600 crashes. So not only are the crashes up, but the number of people involved in the crashes. So there's multiple pedestrians involved in some of those individual crashes. So there are about 8,300 pedestrians who were hit in those 7,600 crashes. And in 2011, there were over 9,900. So in total, during this three-year period of 2011 to 2013, so over a three-year period, 2011 to 2013, there were 25,900 separate pedestrian crashes in the state of Florida involving 27,700 people. So that's a significant number of Floridians and visitors who are adversely affected and impacted and hurt and killed as a result of these pedestrian crashes. So you're talking over almost 28,000 people that were hit over a three-year period. And so during the same three-year period where we had over 27,000 pedestrians that were struck, 1,479 were killed. So almost 1,500 people killed in pedestrian crashes across Florida during that three-year period. So think about that for a second. That's over one a day, needlessly killed on the roadways of Florida. So on top of those 1,500 deaths that occurred during that three-year period, of the 27,000 crashes, about 18,000 people were injured. So we got a lot of people being injured and killed on the roadways of Florida due to these pedestrian crashes. So to put it in a percentage, about 71% of all pedestrian crashes result in a death or an injury. So not only are the number of pedestrian crashes up over the three-year period, also the number involving injuries is trending up as well by about 20%. So what we have is not only more pedestrian crashes, but more involving death and injury. And we have, unfortunately, way too many local examples of what's occurring across Florida. If you remember the 6-year-old infant that was killed on Missouri Avenue here in Largo back on November 10th, when her mom and brother were crossing Missouri Avenue outside of a crosswalk. Back in March of this year, a 17-year-old young man was killed while crossing Gulf Boulevard in St. Pete Beach. He was struck by one vehicle and then struck and killed by a second vehicle, again, crossing outside of a crosswalk. On Sunday, November 30th, another pedestrian, a woman, was killed in Madeira Beach while darting across Gulf Boulevard, again, outside of a crosswalk. And last night, the Florida Highway Patrol reported in Pasco County, yet another pedestrian killed crossing US 19. Not only is this a tragedy for the victims and their families, but also in many cases for the drivers of the vehicles who struck these victims, because despite their careful driving, they could not avoid the crash due to the pedestrian darting into traffic. Also consider the impact of the individuals and families for lost wages while recuperating from injuries and the fiscal impact upon our state's healthcare system for something that is avoidable. The majority of the pedestrian crashes occurred during daylight hours and outside of designated crosswalks. Of the almost 26,000 separate pedestrian crashes during this 3-year period, 13,500 of those occurred outside of crosswalks. This, of course, begs the question of how many injury and death pedestrian crashes could have been avoided simply by the pedestrians following the rules of the road and using these designated crosswalks at intersections or even mid-road. The common traffic law violations that result in these serious pedestrian crashes include pedestrians not obeying the walk, don't walk signals, pedestrians walking on the roadway instead of the sidewalk, and as I've mentioned now many times, pedestrians crossing at roadways at other than designated crosswalks. Also, cars not yielding to pedestrians at the intersections and the mid-road crosswalks. So to address this problem, the Florida Sheriff's Task Force designated, as I said, our fall initiative, Operation Safe Steps, in order to educate the public and hopefully reduce this rising trend of pedestrian crashes and deaths. Between October 24th, 2014 and November 20th of 2014, 18 Florida Sheriff's offices, and I'm joined here this morning by representatives of the Pasco County Sheriff's Office and the Hernando County Sheriff's Office who participated in this operation, spanned out across Florida with the primary goal to educate the walking and motoring public of their obligations and what the rules of the road are, and in some cases, to enforce the traffic laws. So during this 30-day period, sheriff's deputies across the state of Florida issued 6,847 pedestrian warnings, 222 pedestrian citations, traffic tickets, over 8,200 motorist warnings, and over 6,700 motorist citations for traffic violations involving pedestrians. We hope that the contact that our deputies had with almost 23,000 people across the state of Florida during this 30-day period will have an impact and improve pedestrian safety. Nevertheless, despite our efforts during this 30-day period, and while this operation was ongoing, there were 759 pedestrian crashes involving 803 pedestrians, and again, during this 30-day period, sadly, 33 people were killed on the roadways of Florida, still averaging over 1 a day. While the operation has ended, our efforts have not. We will continue to vigilantly stop pedestrians and motorists to educate them, and when appropriate, enforce our state's traffic laws so that we reverse this trend of rising pedestrian crashes and the resulting deaths and injuries. In too many of these cases, the crash can be avoided by the individuals following the rules of the road, having pedestrians cross at crosswalks, and cars yield to pedestrians within those crosswalks. The issue of pedestrian safety reaches far and wide. The Gulf beaches here in Pinellas County and that area along Gulf Boulevard have been very susceptible to pedestrian crashes over the last year. And we have with us here this morning Robin Soley, who's the CEO of the Tampa Bay Beaches Chamber of Commerce, who's going to speak to you for a minute, and then also Julie Bond from Walkwise Tampa Bay, which is a Florida Department of Transportation education initiative housed at the University of South Florida. So once they have an opportunity to make a few comments and to address you, then we'll all be happy to answer any questions that you have. Robin?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I am Robin Soley, and I am the CEO for the Tampa Bay Beaches Chamber of Commerce. And our organization has been exploring this unfortunate pedestrian safety issue for quite some time. And about 1.5 years ago, we partnered with Walkwise with an idea for us to implement education along the beaches, not only for our current residents, but for the transient business residents and drivers that walk, drive all along Gulf Boulevard. And we developed what we call the key card, and it's a pedestrian safety key card that as a transient person comes into a hotel property, they can get this put into their key as they go to unlock the door to their hotel room and have a few bullet points about pedestrian safety. Additionally, across the state and across this county, we have welcome centers that welcome the people that are not familiar with our rules of the road, and we've developed what we call our RAC card, and that again is an educational piece in those information outlets to provide that safety for those pedestrians. And then finally, we are in the proofing phase right now of our final piece, and that is a tag hanger for the rearview mirror for those people that get into a rental car. And it is our goal to spread this initiative statewide through our resources with chambers of commerce across the state of Florida so that we have a three-pronged approach for pedestrian safety and driver safety as people are traveling the roads of our local area. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Julie Bond. I'm with the Center for Urban Transportation Research at the University of Florida, and I'm the project manager for Walkwise Tampa Bay and also Walkwise Florida. And this project is funded by the Florida Department of Transportation. We started Walkwise Tampa Bay as an education effort. So this is education. We have the enforcement. I'm going to talk about education. Also of importance is the engineering that takes place. So those 3 E's are very important working together to solve this problem that we have. So Walkwise Tampa Bay was formed about 5 years ago here in District 7. It was an original idea that we came up with, and it's a grassroots effort to go out to the people and to speak to them about pedestrian safety, bicycle safety, and driver safety. So over this time, we have spoken to groups everywhere throughout this district, and now we're taking this statewide into counties such as Orange County, Lee County, some of those counties that also have high crash rates. So what we do is we go out, and it's a grassroots effort. We have a presentation, and we meet with people, and we talk to them about what they need to do as drivers, pedestrians, and bicyclists. So we have an interactive presentation, and we're actually collecting data during these presentations. We have a turning point technology system that the people in the audience feel sort of like they're playing a game show. So we're actually collecting data on their knowledge of pedestrian laws and pedestrian safety. So at the end of the year, we have a great idea of what people know about laws, for example, and then how we need to tackle this and how we need to solve the problem. So we not only go out and give presentations, but we go out and we walk into businesses and provide information to them for their employees and for their customers. We were very happy to partner with the Chamber, Tampa Beach's Chamber, with the Key to Safety cards, and that has been a very successful program, now going statewide. And so it not only educates the visitors who come here, but it also educates their employees, because their employees are walking daily along Gulf Boulevard or the other areas, and so it's providing education in a multi-pronged approach. So this grassroots effort, we have people take a pledge for safety. They actually take a pledge, and then if they would like to, become one of our ambassadors. So we know we can't reach as many people as we'd like to, so we're recruiting ambassadors throughout the counties, and they're helping us spread the word about pedestrian, bicycle, and driver safety. So for example, this week we're giving 2 Bike Smart classes, one at Pinellas Hope, which is near here, and one at Safe Harbor. We reach out to all types of audiences. We go to businesses, to schools, and we really talk about the importance of pedestrian safety. Everyone who attends gets one of our Walkwise reflective bags, and if they do a follow-up survey, we also send them a Walkwise t-shirt that has the Walkwise tips on the back. So we feel that this approach has been very successful. We're finding that the counties outside of Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough are very excited that we're expanding statewide. And the presentations we've given in the Orlando area have also been very well received. And we talk about laws, we talk to drivers about speed limits. Speed limits are very important when you look at the crash rates and the impact that it has. Lower speed limits save lives. And so that's very important when enforcement are out there providing education, that we look at drivers and we let them know that, you know, lower speeds do save lives. So that's all I have on the education program, and I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you.
So I gave you a lot of numbers, a lot of stats. I want to sum it up this way, is that over a 3-year period, 1,500 people died needlessly in Florida because they weren't crossing where they should have been, or our car didn't yield to them. We had 28,000 people involved in pedestrian crashes, and it's all avoidable. It can stop. It needs to stop. We're seeing a significant problem, and we're doing something about it. The Florida sheriffs are committed to it. We will continue this effort. But of all the problems that we face as a country, as a nation, and what we're seeing here locally, is that this can be fixed. This can stop. It's a matter of people just paying attention, crossing at crosswalks, and doing the right thing. There's so many things that happen that affect people's lives, where people die, that we can't fix, we can't change, we can't avoid in some cases. This is avoidable, this is fixable, this is doable, and we need to reverse this trend. Because we can and we should. People don't need to die. We don't need over one person dying every single day because they were hit by a car. And a real tragedy, too, which can't be lost in this, is that person who is just minding their own business and driving down the road, not impaired by alcohol and drugs, not speeding, not doing anything wrong, and somebody darts out in front of them. Think about the impact on that person. They're a victim, too, because, you know, and especially that 6-week-old baby that was killed up here on Missouri Avenue, you know, last month. That person didn't do anything wrong. Just driving down the road, and they're darting out in front. So again, importantly, this is a reversible trend. This is a problem that can be fixed, and we as the sheriffs of Florida are committed to doing everything we can to do that.